D-Money Deals here. Just making a video because I have a buzzing speaker. This is a Bowers Wilkins 801 S3. So a couple of years ago, due to a EQ mishap, my amplifiers ended up sending full power to all of these speakers, and the left one was buzzing, and I did apply a fix to it. How long that fix holds up remains to be seen. The right side channel also has a buzz. One thing I know about these speakers is the gap tolerance in the voice coil is very low. So if it is even slightly out of alignment, it's going to be a problem. So I'm going to walk you through how to fix it, because this woofer you cannot get anymore, new and used, $500, $600. So it's worth my time to fix it. So things you'll need: the X-Acto knife, small flathead, tweezers, the proper glue. If we have any issues with the voice coil, we may need epoxy and UV light to set it. Other than that, not too much. I do have the glue in another room, and I'll bring it in at the time. So first thing is first, have to get the voice coil, or have to get the dust cap off of this thing. Very, very delicate process. And it generally involves an X-Acto knife and a little patience, and you want to just get it right on the edge. And the thing is if you do this wrong, you will poke the voice coil, or you will poke the X-Acto knife through the cone of the speaker. So don't do that. I already had pre-loosened this before I decided I wanted to do a video. So I have a little opening here for my tweezers to start loosening this cap. So got my tweezers under here, and I'm just starting to work the perimeter very delicately, very slowly. Don't do anything super drastic, because we don't want to tear this, because I will be reusing this at the end. I sped this section up just for purposes of time, I guess. I was just continuing to work my tweezers around the perimeter of that dust cap, going very slowly to not tear it. If you do tear it, not really that big of a deal. I'm sure they can be ordered cheaply online, but if you really care about maintaining that OEM appearance, I would be as careful as possible getting that up. And we are free. And as you can see down into the inner part here. Let's see if I can see where we've been rubbing, because it is very slight where there's rubbing. I can see where there's been some overheating of the coil itself. And that was due to this EQ problem. I installed a mini DSP, and it had a very old firmware on it, and when it was powered on and hooked up, it applied a very, very loud test tone to all of my speakers and subwoofers at the same time, and could not be disabled from the one side of the room. So I literally had to get up and take off running into my utility room and physically power off my amps to stop the noise from playing. So it was a tone that bypassed my my AVR and my home theater PC. It was coming straight from the mini DSP, so it's very bad. But yes, I can see clearly that we have some bubbling in the voice coil, and that's really sucks. Don't think that is the cause of this particular buzz because it's fairly high up in the voice coil. The only way to know is to continue disassembling, and at the end of this too, I will shim the voice coil with thin shims, and you can get those with any kind of speaker repair kit online. Usually comes with voice coil shims, the proper glue you need, and usually a new surround. This is a rubber surround, so I won't need it, and I've already started to work this loose. This particular speaker is easier than most. Most you're dealing with a paper edging here, and the speaker gasket here would be glued to that. Now this particular one it's glued to a hard surface, and so easier to detach, and we need to fully detach this because I'm basically taking the entire voice coil out on this and looking at it from the bottom side to inspect it for damage. Even though this is rubber, I still want to be careful. Obviously, don't want to rip it at any point. And now I have to detach the spider. As you can see, it is right in here. So I had already worked my X-Acto knife under it, approximately right here on this surface. So I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start working that edge because I have it raised up here, and basically slowly and carefully peeling this spider off of here, because all of this has to be aligned perfectly to not have any voice coil rubbing. We definitely don't want that. Would be bad. So I decided to speed this section up to 300% because it took a fair amount of time to get the spider worked up and free on this. It's something where you have to be really careful. It's made out of a material that's kind of easy to tear, so if you're not careful you can accidentally tear it, and I just don't want to get you into a situation where you are wasting parts, because who knows if you can even get your hand on that spider. Like, I just want to keep this as inexpensive as possible. So I was using a very small flathead screwdriver and an X-Acto knife to just go really slowly around that edge and peel it up. In total, it probably took me about 10 or so minutes to get this thing worked up. I was successful in not tearing it, and I hope you will be too. I just cannot stress enough, please be careful with this, because this woofer is so expensive to find a replacement for, if you can even find one. All right, we're back. I just wanted to drill out the speaker binding post real quick. It was just a rivet in there, and I'm going to replace that with something better on the back end of things. But now the speaker is completely out, and I'm looking at the voice coil and where it was rubbing, and looking at it now, it appears that may have just been a simple misalignment, which is good because that means I don't have to apply any epoxy to this. Take a look. Is this about a 2-inch voice coil? 2.5, 2-inch probably. Surprisingly robust speaker for its age. This is circa 1996 speaker, so not the most usually you expect to see something like this in a more modern speaker, but yeah, this one, for being a OEM woofer, pretty well made for its time. I think these retailed for, I don't know, $5,500 a pair, new, something like that, 1995. So it's not bad. I'm also going to inspect the gap in the magnet and make sure that we're not dealing with any debris inside of it. I'm gonna have to go get a flashlight, so I will return. Okay, I'm back. Had to do a couple little things here. I checked this voice coil over, and you know, I'm not seeing anything other than a little distortion bubble near the top. And I checked my vent gap here, and I don't see any debris in it. I do see a little bit of evidence of rubbing on the coil, and so I think it's just going to be a simple realignment. I probably didn't need to tear it down to this extent. I just assumed that the voice coil was damaged on this one like the other one was. So I'm going to get to reassembling here, and the first step is basically just getting this placed back in here as delicately as possible. We want to get that dropped in there, and we want to line it up. The speaker terminal ends up right where it was. I'm not overly concerned about the speaker terminal as of yet, because I will get that basically dropped into position and glued or screwed back into position at the tail end of this thing. But I'm going to take now my voice coil shims. These came with speaker repair kit I bought many years ago, and I've reused them many times since. These kits are fairly inexpensive. I will try to link one in the video if you're looking specifically for shims and glue. This is the glue I use, and then there is a nozzle for said glue right here. So actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to take this back out, take this off of here, and get a new bead of glue on the speaker here. And you want to make sure that it is clear of any debris beforehand, because you don't want anything getting down into that pole vent gap. Okay, so I've taken and I applied a small bead of glue around the entire diameter, around the entire perimeter here of the landing surface for the spider, and now I can set my cone back in there. I'm not going to try and press anything down yet until I have my voice coil shims installed. Actually, we're completely wrong here. Completely turned around the wrong way. Here we go. So these shims, this is a little bit different of a gap than I'm used to seeing. There's like a little plastic plug here, but we'll work around that. That's no big deal. The goal is to get these shims into position around the whole voice coil to keep it perfectly centered. And they want to also keep it tall enough so you can get your shims back out after the fact. It's beneficial to generally get the whole circumference as best as you can. And it's easy to just kind of push against the side and tuck it down in there. Let's see, we got space for one last one. Maybe. It's important to not overlap because it will get out of alignment if you do. Looks like we are good all the way around. So, next thing to do is to press this spider into place as it is perfectly centered. Now, a speaker builder is generally going to use clamps here. This isn't a high excursion subwoofer, so I'm not worried about this coming off of here. Now, if I was building a big subwoofer, I would have clamps all the way around the perimeter of this through the whole drawing process. Okay, that's pretty good there. Gonna inspect my work here. This glue is pretty tacky glue, so I don't expect any issues with that. And then basically what we're going to do then is apply glue to the entire perimeter of the top here, and then stop and start getting my gasket into position here. It lays on there naturally, as it should. And this generally applies to other speakers too, not just this woofer, so. Okay, there we go. And just start working yourself a nice perimeter bead. There is a such thing as too much glue with this, so you don't want to overdo it. It's a nice thin layer. Okay, getting back to the start here, and then just let it fall. You want it to be as natural as possible and not manually influence the direction of the cone at all. We want it to be in its completely natural position. And now, essentially, we wait. This glue calls for 24 hours for a full cure, at the end of which I will remove these 4 voice coil shims, apply glue to this dust cap, get it placed back here in the center, and after that's had time to dry, be able to test, and hopefully no more rubs.